right now?
So this is just a DCPS reopen video. Throughout the presentation, you'll see, I think it's about 3 different videos that DCPS has provided to the families on their DCPS Reopen Strong website. It has a host of information for our families, a FAQ that addresses a lot of the things that we're going to review today. So if you haven't had a chance to visit the website, please do. I would share the website link at the end of the presentation. But again, these videos are kind of in an elementary setting, but every school is expected to do the same thing. So the video would just, please don't look at the little kid figures. It's just more so of what the schools are expected to do, and DCPS has provided videos to capture the expectations of every school. And just let me know if you all are able to hear it.
Reopen strong means reopening in a way that is safe. It means providing opportunities for learning and belonging that is at the heart of what we do.
It is important for kids to go back to school because we need to bring some sort of normalcy into their lives.
They're missing out on a lot of the social, emotional supports and needs that come with them being in school.
They really miss their teachers. They really miss seeing their friends and just their everyday routine.
We're in the middle of a pandemic. Safety has to be our #1 priority.
Making sure that the buildings are as safe as possible for anyone who is working in them.
Our community is very diverse, so we want to make sure that all of our practices are equitable so that everyone has access to what they need.
We just try to make sure that every parent, every student has access to the same resources.
We really a lot of the structures and the procedures that you would find in a typical school year, and I think it's made us stronger.
We want to do everything that we can to maximize their learning, whether in person or virtually.
Students miss that social interaction with their peers. It's different when you are interacting virtually than it is when you're interacting in person.
To see kids running at a full sprint up to the front door made me step back and say, okay, we're doing the right thing.
As we're going throughout the day, we are making sure that all the safety protocols are being put into place so that we can all be healthy. And as DCPS, reopen and stay open strong.
Dr. Emmett, do you want to? So we're going to kind of go over the schedule for term 3, and I think Dr. Emmett's going to kind of go into depth of what is expected for term 3.
So I hope that you've been receiving the information we've been sending out. Wanted to take a minute and try to articulate again, or maybe a little differently, or maybe a little in a way that's more clear about what it is we are designing to do. Every school has a different approach to this. Every school has different needs. And when we as a staff tried to identify what our needs were and what our priorities were, recognizing that we couldn't all come back, and we couldn't all come back on the same day, wanted to try to figure out what were those things that were most pressing. So the first thing is we recognize that we have some students who are, this virtual learning experience just isn't working very well. They're experiencing some challenges, some of which are beyond their control, and we want to be able to provide a structured environment for them. So there is a group of 9th graders and a group of 12th graders who have been invited to come and be part of a care classroom. Now, we've also had some students who say, well, can I come too? I'd like to be part of that too. And of course we have room and we can accommodate that. So we have some what are called care classrooms. Now, a care classroom is not, students are not going to necessarily have their regular teacher. It's not going to be what they're used to of having regular school with their regular teachers. Instead, what care classroom is a structured environment for students to do what they're doing now. In other words, to engage in their classes virtually, online, with their teachers through their computer, but just here at school and in a safe, socially distant, structured environment here at school. Like when I get a little lighthearted and I get a little cavalier about it, I says, we got to get them out of bed and off the couch. So um, we're providing a different environment for them, but they're still going to be engaging through the computer. They're still going to be taking their classes online with their teachers online. In a care classroom, there will be a staff member who will be present to supervise them, but really the responsibility falls on those students to engage with their teachers in the online learning experience. Okay, so that's going to happen on Mondays and Fridays for a group of some groups of 9th and 12th graders. The second thing we identified as a priority was that as Phelps, as a CTE school, our kids need hands-on learning experiences. I mean, I like to quote our carpentry teacher. He said, how do you teach a kid to pound a nail through a computer screen? Our kids haven't swung a hammer. They haven't, run a router in Cisco class. They haven't pulled cable in their electricity class. They haven't done any of that since March. And we really think that it's important that kids have an in-person learning experience in their CTE class. So on Tuesday, we have invited all of our 10th graders who are in CTE class second semester, which is all of our level 1 students like in carpentry, HVAC, electricity, Cisco computer networking, and architecture. And we have one group of students who are in Principles of Engineering, POE. We've invited all of those students to come up and be part of an in-person learning experience. Some have said yes, some have said no, some still aren't sure yet. And we recognize that. We recognize that people are at different places in this whole process and have different understandings. It's part of why we welcome and so glad you're here tonight, so we can have an opportunity to talk through this with you and hopefully come to some better understanding of what's going on. So when students will have on Tuesday, the 10th grade students will have their CTE class one of the periods during the day. Then the rest of the day, they will be in a care classroom. Just like as I described is happening on Mondays and Fridays, students will continue to take their other 3 classes, so that maybe their English, their math, their science. They'll take those classes through the computer, online, but here at school, in a classroom with students who are socially distant, a classroom of no more than 11 other students, or 11 total students. On Thursdays, as you see, Wednesday, we don't have any classes scheduled currently for Wednesdays. Thursdays, we're inviting our 11th graders to come up for an in-person learning experience in their CTE class. So again, all of our 11th graders are in their level 3 CTE class during second semester, and we're inviting them to come up on Thursday mornings. So they'll come up for Thursday morning and have one of their classes online, and then they'll have their CTE class, an in-person experience with their teacher. So they'll have an opportunity to have an in-person experience, swing that hammer in carpentry class, run that cable in electricity class, use that T-square in architecture class, and have a chance to be with their teacher. And then we're go ahead and inviting them to head on home at lunchtime, and then finish the day with their 3rd and 4th period classes online from home. Then on Fridays, we'll repeat what we did on Mondays with the same group of students. We'll come back and go through that experience on Fridays. One thing that's not on the slide here, which is an added opportunity that we have, and I think a few of the people that are on the call right now are considering this or have agreed to this or said they'd like to do this, is our music teacher, Mr. Green, he is offering a band/care experience all 4 days. So kids can come up Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday and spend the day with him. So they'll have an opportunity to have a band experience and that with Mr. Green. And then when they're not in band, having band class, they'll still be with Mr. Green, but taking their classes online like the CARE classroom concept. What's exciting about that is the kids still have a chance to engage with music. Now, if you're wondering, what about the whole safety procedures? Nobody's playing the clarinet. Nobody's playing the trumpet. I know, Mr. Parrish, your boys play those wind instruments. Um, the music experience will not involve anything that involves blowing. They won't be playing the trumpet, the tuba, the saxophone. They'll be having a different type of band music experience. Ms. Davis, how did we do? Was that you think that was helpful?
Yes, yes, I
All
think
right.
it was. I think our families can definitely understand what is expected Monday through Friday.
And obviously, we welcome your feedback and look forward to your questions as we go through the evening here.
So as we transition from the schedule, I want to kind of talk briefly about a safe and healthy environment and what that looks like at Phelps for term 3. So DCPS provided each school with a building readiness checklist. Within that checklist, schools were required to have proper PPE and hygiene supplies, cleaning supplies, and procedures. Our custodians have gone through a wealth of trainings over the past couple of months to provide them with the tools and the resources to ensure that their daily enhanced cleaning procedures are effective, and then to make sure that our custodial staff understands the chemicals they're using, understand how to properly wipe and disinfect. So our custodial staff is extremely well versed in the operations needed for that. Socially distanced space arrangement. Our classrooms and hallways and staircases have all been socially distant according to the 6-foot CDC guidelines. And you would see that in a later video as well. Signage is posted in our spaces, the 6 feet, social distance, the wearing your mask, the proper hygiene, understanding the symptoms, all of that signage is within our classrooms, it's in our bathrooms. You would see it when you arrive in the morning in our foyer. So the signage is kind of everywhere in the building, just to remind the staff and students of what's expected of them while they're in the building. Students will have water access. All of our water fountains are currently off, but our students every day will be provided with bottled water. And then we went through a ton of HVAC enhancements over the course of the last couple of months. Schools have the MERV 13 filtrations in our classrooms and throughout our building. Each filter can effectively, I want to say, clean the air up to about 3,000 to 1,000 square feet. So each classroom or each space a student will be in has one of those. And then all of our bathrooms have went through plumbing systems, making sure that our restrooms and any space that has a sink has hot water, toilets are fixed, things like that. And again, this is an expectation across every school in the district. And, you know, we had our walkthrough last Friday with our LSAT and our WTU, and they kind of had to hold folks accountable for that. And so all of these things were available during the walkthrough. This is just the cleaning. So along with the enhanced cleaning, which is going to be daily, our custodial staff is required to go into the restrooms and the classrooms on a hourly or 30-minute cycle to clean frequently any touch surfaces. So that would be like your doorknobs, your light switches, any buttons, toilet handles, faucet handles, anything that we consider a high touch area. Those will be cleaned on 30-minute to an hour cycles. And that's every day during the week. And then on Wednesdays, where there is no class being held on Wednesdays, the custodians would do a mini deep cleaning, and that's going into the classrooms and not only doing the high touch areas, but that's making sure all of the tables have been wiped and properly disinfected, making sure the chairs have been wiped and disinfected as well. The stairwells have been mopped and the classrooms have been vacuumed and the restrooms have been mopped with proper cleaning supplies that wouldn't necessarily happen on the enhanced cleaning. So that Wednesday will allow the custodial staff to dedicate more time to thoroughly clean all the surfaces and students and staff may encounter while are at the facility. Healthy routines at home and school. DCPS also provided a short video for families to understand what is expected of the student, the parent, and also what the process looks like before they arrive to school. And so I guess we could take a look at the video, and then if you have any questions, please place them in the chat regarding the getting ready video, and then we'll answer those at the follow.
DCPS is ready to reopen strong. As we return to school, we're asking you to do a few things differently that will help promote health and safety for you, your classmates, family, and teachers. Here are a few things elementary students and families need to know. As you prepare for a new day, we want to make sure that you get ready and leave home with everything that you'll need for a successful and safe day at school. Each morning, a guardian or caregiver should conduct a brief health check to make sure your student can safely attend school. Ask your student how they are feeling and if they have any COVID-19 symptoms. Ask whether you or your student has been in recent close contact with anyone who has COVID-19. If the answer is yes to either of these questions, please stay home and call your healthcare provider. If your health check is okay and you are ready to leave for school, don't forget to put in your backpack some items to keep you safe from germs, like a mask, hand sanitizer, and a reusable water bottle. To reduce the chance of spreading the virus, we want to make sure that everyone has their own supplies, so you won't have to share or borrow anything during the day. But don't worry, if you don't have a mask, hand sanitizer, or a water bottle, we will supply them at school. We will also have places to refill your water bottle and wash your hands. This will help us keep the building clean, since we will also be regularly cleaning the building during the day. As you leave for school, we want you to arrive safely. In addition to the usual traffic and safety precautions, please maintain social distance while you're walking or on the bus or train. And if you drive to school with a parent or other caregiver, when you arrive at school, we're going to ask that your caregiver say goodbye on the sidewalk. So now is a good time for a hug. Now you're all set to line up and get ready to enter your school. Welcome back. We're glad you're here.
And again, these videos were created for the elementaries, but again, this is the expectation for all DCPS schools across the district. So you probably would be giving your baby a hug, but it just reiterates that no parents or visitors would be allowed to enter the building in the arrival protocol, which actually gets us to the arrival of students. So all students will use the Phelps main entrance. We're asking students to arrive within 3 waves due to the strict arrival procedures and to maintain safe social distancing. So students can start to arrive around 8:45 to 9 o'clock. So if you arrive at the 8:45, you would be allowed, you would stand, and you would see this later in the video, where the decals are outside on the ground. And then if you arrive around like 8:50, 8:55, you would fall into the 9 o'clock, 9:15 window. And then the last window would be the 9:15 to 9:30. And the reason for this is that no student should be reporting to the building before 8:45 due to the fact that the staff arrival is kind of real close to that. And we would have to make sure that we're doing cleaning before between the staff and the students. And then again, no cohorts should be mixing. So this also prevents that. Again, and then the IPL and the care instructors would be downstairs waiting to greet the students as they enter the building. Students still have to go through abatement. So as the student goes through the health screening, the temperature check, they would then move to abatement. And then following abatement, they would retrieve their breakfast and their water bottles. And then their instructor or their IPL teacher would then escort them to their classrooms. And this again is just what the arrival process looks like. All staff and students will be screened upon arrival by the DCPS contracted technicians. Students will be asked a series of questions, and then they would have their temperature checked, and then students will enter the main entrance. And then upon entering the building, again, students will receive their grab-and-go breakfast, their bottled water, and then they would report directly to their assigned classrooms with their teachers. And then this is just a quick arrival video. Again, this is kind of in an elementary setting, but this is similar to what would be expected of the Phelps students upon arrival.
Welcome back to school. Now that you've arrived, we can get ready to enter the building. This is going to be a little different than last year, but you'll still be with your friends, so let's walk through how this new process is going to work. Only one person can enter a school building at a time. Look for the marks on the ground and line up behind your classmates. You can say hi to your friends, just be sure to stay on the marks that you see on the ground. They are spaced 6 feet apart, and they will help you maintain the right social distance between you and other students while you wait. Before you go inside and head to class, you will clean your hands with some sanitizer provided for you. Keeping your hands clean throughout the day will help you stay safe and will help us keep the building clean for everyone. School buildings will also be cleaned on a regular basis throughout the day. If you don't have a face covering on, you'll be able to pick up a face mask. All students and staff will wear face coverings or masks, as it will help keep you and those around you safer throughout the day. After sanitizing your hands, we will make sure you have completed a few health screening questions and make sure you are feeling well and ready for school. All students and staff members will go through a few health screening steps before entering the building. When the staff member is ready, please step up. Thank you. Please continue to keep space between you and classmates as you enter the school building. The marks on the floor will help you know how far to stay apart. If you are not feeling well, we will ask you to wait in a room near the entrance. While you wait, we will contact your caregivers. Eating well is an important part of staying healthy and being prepared to learn. Once inside, you can pick up a grab-and-go breakfast bag from the table and go straight to your classroom. Welcome back. In our next video, we will share more information about the new way we will set up your classroom.
And so again, that video just captures what is expected of the students as they arrive to Phelps. They would see the decals, they would follow the decals, ensuring that they're safe and social distant from their peers. They would enter the building, have their temperature checks conducted, go through the health screening questions, abatement, again, go through, grab and go breakfast, their water bottles, and then they would report directly to class. And then it's the same thing for dismissal of students. Again, cohorts of students cannot mix, so there will be a staggered dismissal, and the teachers and staff would have that time of which time their students and staff, their classrooms can dismiss. And then prior to dismissal, we're just going to have ask students to wipe down his or her desk, their chair, and their materials. And then if any students are taking public transportation, we just want to continue to preach adherence to the safe and social distancing and continue to use a face covering as they're headed back home. And then this is just a quick dismissal video of what is expected for each student as they dismiss.
Welcome back to your class. Now that you arrived at your classroom, let's review how we're going to set up the room and how the day will be a little different this year. First, you will notice that there are fewer students in each class. To allow everyone to maintain a social distance throughout the day, we will limit the number of students in each class according to DC Health guidelines. Having fewer students will help us space out all of the desks. When you are seated, you will be at least 6 feet away from your classmates. During the day, remember to keep your hands clean. This will help you stay healthy and help us keep the building clean for everyone. We are also going to ask you to keep your face covering or mask on during the day. Your classes will happen in the same space, even specials like arts and science. You will also have lunch delivered to you in your classroom. Because we know how important movement is to stay healthy, during the day we will go outside for recess. Every class will have their own recess time. As we walk in and out of the classroom, remember to maintain a social distance from your classmates. As your school day comes to an end, let's gather your belongings. Your teacher will help you get organized, and please follow their directions. Dismissal will be staggered. When it's your turn, we will line up and get ready to leave. On nice days, we will wait for your caregiver outside. Enjoy the fresh air while you wait. If it is too cold or rainy, we will wait inside. As your caregiver arrives, we will call your name. We are sure they will be interested to hear how your day went. Travel safely and have a great evening. See you again soon. Please see our other
Oh,
videos available.
Miss Davis, you brought back fond memories of recess. Oh,
I was going to tell the parents, please disregard recess. Our Phelps students will not be having recess. So please disregard the recess. Again, these videos were created for the elementary schools because they were the first ones to go back. But they provided these resources for the secondary schools as well. But Phelps students will not be having recess.
rats. Shucks. Hey,
Online.
good game of socially distant dodgeball, maybe kickball, maybe. Yeah.
And so this brings us to what COVID-19 reporting will look like within the school. Each school has a response protocol. Every staff member will be trained to confidentially report potential exposure in the school building. We've had several staff trainings. We're having one tomorrow just to make sure that our staff understands what the response protocol looks like and what's expected from them, and then also how to convey that information to the families. If there are any confirmed cases of COVID reported to DCPS, whether it's a student, a family, or a staff member, whether they have been in the school building or if it's still a virtual case, we do have to provide that information. Myself and then AP Eatman, we have a tool that's called the incident reporting tool where we would log that information, and then there would be resources provided to the family, and then we would follow the COVID-19 response protocol, and then the families would be notified of whether, once we know it's either an exposure or a confirmed case, of what's expected of them, what the return to school would look like, and then just making sure that we're communicating to our community whether or not we had a confirmed case within the school or an exposure. Which brings us to testing. I'm not going to read all of that, but just in general, students are afforded the opportunity to have regular asymptomatic testing every 10 days. We would have DOH reports at Phelps where they would be tested every 10 days. And again, this is just asymptomatic testing. So this is just kind of a prevention testing for our students. These are students who are healthy, who are present at school, who are participating in in-person programming. But we want to just make sure that we're preventing any cases and understanding that, students and staff members could have the virus but just be asymptomatic. And so that's what this testing protocol would look like. Again, it wouldn't be conducted by anyone from the staff. Department of Health would actually be reporting to the school to complete or conduct the testing on site. And should an individual after the test develop any symptoms at any time, they would be asked immediately to self-quarantine, and then we would follow all of the COVID-19 response protocols and safety protocols. The one thing Dr. Emmons said he will send out, or we would share with our students starting next week, is the consent form. We heavily encourage you all, for any family that is allowing their students to participate in in-person programming, to sign the consent form, because that allows their student to be tested every 10 days, and which continues to create a safe environment for staff and students. Again, DC Health will manage the on-site testing. This will not be a staff member of Phelps. The students will receive the standard PCR nasal swab, and then the testing would then be sent off, and then the results would be provided to the schools and to the families every 10 days. There's another test that's offered to students as well, and that is called the rapid testing. And that is if a student does develop COVID symptoms while they're on site. We would either call the parent and have the parent pick them up, and then the students would be encouraged to visit their primary cares, or we would make contact with DOH for a rover nurse to report to Phelps to test the student on site. If the test was to come back positive, we would then follow the COVID-19 response protocol and safety protocols. And if it's not, then the student, there would be nothing else to move forward with. The student would just return back to class or return the next day. And then we're just going to shift a little bit to a new traffic pattern. Dr. Emmett, do you want to, talk about the amazing construction at Phelps and how this now will kind of affect our families a little bit?
I appreciate your choice of adjective there, Ms. Davis. So if you haven't been up to the Phelps campus in the last few months, you will be a little surprised when you come here. There is as an architecture, construction, and engineering high school, normally we'd be excited about a construction site because it celebrates what we do. There is a huge construction site that's going on in proximity to the Phelps campus. They are building a swing space facility for some elementary schools who are being modernized. Their buildings are being modernized. So the construction is behind schedule. It was supposed to have been done before Christmas. It's behind schedule. It's getting closer, but coming to school now is going to need, for your own safety, and I think for your own, maybe even the safety of your tires and your own sanity, is you're going to want to come through the back gate. If you come up the way you used to come up, it's likely you'll get hung up in some type of construction traffic. So please come through the back gate, and then you can drop off right in front of the school, near the main entrance, and then continue down the drive, exiting back out onto 26th Street, down at the bottom of the hill by the football field. You don't want to come up the hill and try and turn around in the parking lot and then go back down the hill. That will create some headaches for you. So come through the back gate, drop off your student near the front door, and then just keep flowing down the drive, and again exiting down at the bottom of the hill by the football field. The construction site is getting closer to being done. You should be able to get through okay. It's just I'm going to ask you for a little bit of patience, because it's still not, void or free of any hassle. So there are still bringing some trucks up and down the hill. They are still doing some drop off and some construction work. There are still going to be some equipment in the parking lot that will, you'll see it. It'll be out of the way. It'll be over on the edge, but it will still be present for a little bit of time. So again, for everybody's sort of sanity and peace of mind and ability to cooperate, come through that back gate and just keep on going, and then just keep going down the hill and drop and exit down by the football field. Ms. Davis, how did I do? Did I give enough details, or am I leaving something out? What do you think?
No. Again, just to reiterate, please make sure that you're not coming up the Phelps driveway, that you're using the back gate, and then, like Dr. Emmett stated, you would then be able to exit down the driveway. And I just want to say this is only for morning and afternoons, arrival and dismissal. During the day, so about 10 to 3:30, we will close the back gate, and that is just for safety reasons and just making sure that the neighborhoods don't use the school as a passage. But so you would be able to use the normal way to arrive at Phelps. during the 10 to 3:30. But again, for morning and afternoons for arrival and dismissal, please use the back gate, because we would be, integrating a new traffic pattern with Phelps and then also the swing space.
I did catch something here, Ms. Davis, as it mentioned we're humble and looking for feedback. One thing we want to think about is Thursdays. Remember, Thursday dismissal is at 12:20. Should they still come through the back gate then?
I believe at 12:20 they should be able to utilize, use the norm,
The normal?
the
Okay.
normal way of reporting to Phelps. So for those who are car riders for that Thursday early dismissal, as long as it's between the 10 to 3:30, I would say we could, use the Phelps driveway. But again, for the morning arrival and dismissals, please use the back gate.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thanks for clarifying that.
Student behavior, Dr. Emma, you want to take this one as well?
Yeah, so again, we recognize that everybody's kind of been in a different place on their comfort level, their their level of anxiety, their level of care and concern. We know that some people have had different lived experiences during this time that might help them or make them feel a certain way, that is completely understandable. What we need to make sure is we need to respect and acknowledge everybody else and how everybody else might be feeling and what they might be considering in this. So we need to make sure that we're all compliant and cooperative. Now I'm sitting in my office right now, but I'm all by myself and I have my door shut. But when we're here, we've got to wear our masks. It's a non-negotiable, and I'm putting my Phelps mask up here to show you. Ready? It's a non-negotiable. We're not going to try to convince kids to wear masks. We're not going to be patient and understanding. It's a non-negotiable. You have to wear your mask. We also need to make sure that everybody understands social distancing and that they are respectful of everybody else with their social distancing. Now, we are super excited to see our kids. We love them and we miss them so much. And we can't wait to have a chance to see the students who they and their families have decided that this is good for them. They're good with this. But everybody who's doing that, everybody who's deciding to come here is doing it based on a provision and an expectation that everybody else is too, right? So we all have to respect each other and be safe for each other. So we know that different people feel different ways about mask wearing and social distancing, and they've got their own theories and feelings. This is one thing we all have to be in agreement on. We've got to wear our masks all the time when we're at school, and we've got to demonstrate social distancing. Okay. I hope that's clear, and I hope that's received in the way it was intended, and that is that we love our students and we have high expectations for them, and we believe they can do this, and we all are relying on each other. We're all relying on each other to make this work.
Thank you, Dr. Emmett, for that. Technology. So again, the students will be allowed to travel with their school issued device from home to school. So we just ask for the students to bring their DCPS issued technology with them, along with their charger. Each room is equipped with surge protectors, things like that. So just ask, and if they forget it, we do have extra chargers in the building. And if a student does not have a school issued device, one will be provided for them. So that's not a barrier of why a student, doesn't report to an IPL or care classroom. And then if someone, forgets it that day, we definitely will have devices on site to support their students. Dr. Emmett, did you want to add anything for technology? The other thing is just making sure that our students are taking care of the devices as they travel back and forth. If they have a bag that they could place the device in, that would be great. I know over the summer during our technology distribution, we handed out bags along with the devices. So if our students could definitely make sure that their device is well protected during their travel, that would be great as well.
Yeah, so it's one of the things that we've probably understated in our communication about this plan. It's just the importance of the students bringing their school issued device with them. Um, we need to make sure that they have what they've been using during all this time. They're going to have a comfort level with that. That maybe have files saved on their device. Please make sure they bring their device with them. If there's some reason why that's not possible, we can understand that, and we respect that. And maybe you could let us know, if that is, so we can be prepared to have an alternative option for their technology use while they're here. But it is important that students bring those with them, and both for their own success and just to make sure that there's, that we have a feasible use of the technology. Again, as Ms. Davis said, we will have some devices here at school. We'll be able to help for those students who don't have a school issued device, or who may forget, or just have an issue that may encounter them from being able to bring their device each day. We can help them out, but it would really work best if they can bring their school issued device.
And so as we kind of come to a close, I know it was just kind of some high level information. Again, we do have a website. If you go to the Phelps High School website, Mr. Green has created a school reopening section for the parents, where this PowerPoint will be housed, where a lot of the DCPS information is housed. Even at the bottom of the last bullet, you ask if you would like to jot that down. The DCPS-Reopen Strong website, again, it has a wealth of resources for families. Everything that I've covered is there, even with more detailed. It has more information in regards to testing, and what testing would look like, the COVID-19 response protocol for staff and students. The cleaning and the building readiness is also there. You would be able to see Phelps operations plan that would be posted before Monday, February 1st, as well as our HVAC and plumbing, I would say checklists and requirements that DGS and the district has done for Phelps. So again, I encourage everyone to visit the DCPS-Reopen Strong website. Again, parents will be required to complete a family school agreement along with the parent consent form if you would like your student to be tested while they're on site for the asymptomatic testing. These resources will be provided to the students. They could come home, you could sign them, and then the student would bring them back. Just to reiterate that all meals will be eating in the classroom, so students will be eating breakfast and lunch in their classrooms. We will not be using that cafeteria. Students will only be permitted to use bathrooms during assigned bathroom breaks and bathroom break times. So we will be going over this with our staff and what their bathroom breaks look like for their students. Again, if students have to use the bathroom in an emergency, we'll definitely, I would say, permit that or allow students to use the bathroom outside of their time, accommodate that. Again, follow the new traffic pattern. We're utilizing the back gate for our arrival and our dismissals between the hours of 10 to 3:30. And for that Thursday early dismissal, we could use the normal Phelps driveway. And then I don't know if this has been communicated as much, but up-to-date immunization records is required for students attending the in-person learning or CARES classrooms. I know Ms. Chandler, Dr. Emmett, Nurse Carr has been doing a lot of outreach to our families who have been targeted for in-person attendance. But the biggest thing is just making sure that families understand that their students must be up to date on their immunizations to report to in-person attendance for term 3. And this is a big one. No parents and visitors are allowed in the building during school hours. And this, again, is just to make sure that we're following safe and social distancing guidelines from CDC, OSCE, and DCPS. They're still asking us to not allow parents and visitors in the building. So if you have meetings, we're encouraging our staff to still hold meetings virtually. And then in the event that you do have to report to the building or a meeting is scheduled on site, it must be pre-scheduled. So you must have a confirmation from the person or the staff member that you're having a meeting, because there's a lot of protocols that go into a parent or a visitor being allowed into the school. So again, as you drop your students off, just a reminder that parents are not allowed in the building. And we love you all, but again, this is just the guidance that is being sent from DCPS during school hours. And then if you need a kids, or if your student needs a kids ride free card, I encourage you all to visit the Phelps website. The link to sign up for that is there. It'll come to me and I would just have that card available for the student on the first day. Or I've been doing things like mailing the cards to the families as well. So again, if you need a kids ride free card, please visit the website to submit the form so that I can get the student a card as soon as possible. Dr. Emmett, is there anything you would like to share before I show the Phelps video, or is this kind of?
There's a lot of information for folks to process here, and I will say we've tried to hit the things I think are most important. There are a number of provisions in place to help ensure safety and health, such as health screeners, isolation rooms, testing rooms, as well as all of the practices that Ms. Davis has highlighted regarding social distancing and appropriate procedures. Just want you to know that we're taking a lot of measures to make sure that everybody feels safe and that they are safe and that we are prepared, in case of if something were to happen, we are prepared for that. And I hope you've gleaned that. I mentioned Ms. Davis at the outset. I said she's very thorough and she's very prepared. I hope you've gleaned that. And we do, if you've been thinking about some questions, please be jotting them down. And we want to have a chance to respond to those here in just a few minutes. Okay.
And so I just kind of have a let's check out Phelps. I know I've shown several videos that the DCPS provided, but Mr. Greenhow, our school dean, has been gracious enough to go into the building and kind of capture what a day would look like or what is expected of our students. And so let me show that. So let's check out Phelps and let's see what Phelps would look like for our students for term 3.
Hey, what's going on, Phelps family? This is your Dean of Students, Mr. Greenhow. Welcome back to term 3. All right, this video is just going to show you a little bit of the routine that you'll be going through when you're coming back to the building. All right, between the entry, going to your care classrooms, your CTE classrooms, and the exits. All right, as you can see, tough times. We have on our mask, which will be required throughout the entire day. So I'm getting used to it. We all are getting used to it. We're gonna do this together, right? All right, let's get ready. We're out front of Phelps High School. As you can see behind me, all of the construction that we have, the new construction. All right, so when you're walking up the hill, be careful because we do have construction workers on the sides with heavy equipment. All right, so make sure that you're careful and you're paying attention as you walk up the hill. Now, once you arrive to Phelps, as you can see, these are our famous doors, the famous doors of Phelps. All right, and on the ground throughout the entire building, you will see these markers. Everybody see these markers? Safe social distance. All right, 6 feet. So throughout the entire building, we have these markers on the ground. So when you're transitioning in and out of the building, you must follow these protocols. All right, 6 feet apart from each other with your mask on. All right, let's go inside the building now. Let's see. In this area here, this is where you will have your temperature checks. All right, your temperature checks will be here. So every student will come in individually, getting their temperatures checked. All right, and once that is done, you will be required to go through our famous detector. All right, with our officers here. All right, as you can see, you're going through. I'm going to go through. Hopefully it doesn't beep. Okay, it didn't beep. Good. I don't have anything on me. Good. All right. So once we continue to go, you're going to come through these doors. And like I said, you see our spots on the ground. These are the spots that you will follow throughout the entire building. All right. Welcome to Phelps. Let's see. Our next step, we're going to go into our CTE classrooms. So our first classroom, as you can see, is our HVAC classroom. All right. As you can see, spaced out, everything 6 feet apart. All right. So you walk down. Everyone's continuing to be 6 feet apart from each other. And as you can see, your desks are also 6 feet apart from each other. All right. This is where you'll get your hands on. All right. Your hands for your HVAC. All of the other classrooms, CTE classrooms, will be set up the same. All right, your tables and all chairs will be 6 feet apart from each other for our social distancing. All right, but you must remember, once you come in the classroom, you have to stay in your seat. All right, you have to stay in your seat. All your materials will be on the table for you. All right, so that way there's not a lot of moving around. All right, and once you're done, you'll place everything back on the table, and your teacher will sterilize all of your materials for the next time that you use them. All right, so you're not going to be reusing them. You're going to be using them, giving them back to the teacher, and the teacher will clean those for your next time in class. All right, so as you can see, one more view. All right. All right, let's go check out our CARES classrooms. So this is our first CARES classroom. As you can see, there are markers and arrows on the ground. All right, in which way you will follow your routine about the classroom. All right, so we walk in. As you can see, all the chairs once again and tables 6 feet apart. X's on the floor. X's on the floor so that you know how far back you can go in your chair and whatnot, and the area you're supposed to be in. Also, as you all may know, our new air filters, all right, new ventilation systems in the schools, all right, that are required, all right. So that's for the air filtration, all right. So just walk around. As you see, our staff members will be sitting in the front of the class, being able to monitor while also doing their virtual teaching as well, all right. So I'm following the arrows here, as you can see. All right, we're going through our classroom, and once you exit, all right, straight back out. As you can see, arrow's still on the floor so that you know which way to go. All right, take a good look. All right, as you can see, the tables and chairs are also 6 feet apart. All right, we are social distancing. And like I said, everyone will have on their mask. As you see, I have one too. All right, it's perfectly fine. All right. Going around the classroom, we see the X for the chairs, how far back you can go. But every room has arrows for directions for you to go, as well as the X's on the chairs so that you know how far back you can go. All right, so that's one classroom. And then some may ask, okay, so if I have to use the restroom, where do I go? What do I do? All right, so policy is, one student at a time can go to the restroom. It would be at different periods of the day, different times, but only one can go at a time. And as you can see, as soon as you walk out, we have some of our bathrooms here, and further down the hallway, bathrooms here. All right. And after students use the restroom, there will be cleaning materials in there to wipe down anything that was used, so that the next student can go in and use it. All right. We're all about safety and following the protocols. This is the famous Phelps calf behind us. All right. Unfortunately, we will not be utilizing this. All right. You will be getting your lunch and lunch bags given to you in the classroom. So you'll actually be eating lunch in the classroom. I know you will love to come here and sit at our cafeteria, but unfortunately right now, we have to eat in the classrooms. But once everything gets better, this will be the spot. All right, but until then, work with us, get your lunches, eat them in the classrooms. You won't have to come down and grab them. We will actually deliver them to you in your classrooms. One other thing you may notice around the school, also more directions on the floor. As you can see, what does that say? One way. All right, so what that means is you're only going one way, straight up the stairs. There will be no passing in the hallways. All right, so you're going upstairs, and then once you're going upstairs and you want to come back downstairs, as you see, one way. All right, one way. So there is no path crossing. All right, everybody is going up one way and down a different way. And at the end of the day, if you're still waiting for your parent to come pick you up, we do have our parent pickup rooms, all right? Which means you'll be in this room here or another room like this, 6 feet apart from each other, spaced out, all right? You'll wait for your parent to call, come pick you up. You'll then exit the building. Let me show you the exit now. Back to the entrance and exit. That's the door that you entered from, and this will be the door that you exit from, all right? Walk it through. All right. Same door, exit out, and then you're good to go. All right. So until next time, until term 3, be safe.
So I hope everyone enjoyed that video just as much as I did. It was a great video to highlight the protocols and the measures that are put in place to keep everyone safe. So again, I hope you all enjoyed that video. For our returning students, I hope you enjoyed seeing Mr. Greenhow. For our new students, I hope you all were excited to meet your school dean. And then now we're going to open it up for questions. Again, if you have questions, I encourage you all to use the raise hand feature or place your questions in the chat. And then Dr. Emmett and I will so graciously answer the questions that you all may have. And I'm just going to stop sharing my screen because I can't see the questions while I share my screen, Dr. Emmett. So
Yeah, so maybe I can help us get started. So I
okay.
think some of the questions that have been raised, I've been able to answer as been going through in the chat.
Okay.
But there's a couple that we wanted to wait until we were done so we can address it.
Okay.
One question was, they said, is deep cleaning only happening on Wednesdays, or is deep cleaning happening on Saturdays as well?
No, so the building will be closed on the weekends as normal. Deep cleaning won't just happen on Wednesdays, but that's the day that no students will be in the building. So that will give us a little more time to dedicate to deep cleaning. But their schedule that I've built for the custodians does allow for a more targeted cleaning. For example, on Tuesdays, and I'm just going to start with Tuesdays because Monday is the first day of the week, but on Tuesdays, the area of the building that was used on Mondays could now be cleaned a little more. So it would be based on what the schedule looks like, but Wednesdays would not be the only day we would do deep cleaning. And it'll be the same thing for a Thursday or a Friday. On a Friday, the classes that were used on Thursdays would have more cleaning, targeted cleaning, because it wouldn't be used on Fridays. And I think Dr. Emmett and I were very intentional with the spacing of the floors or using the floors strategically to make sure that enhanced cleaning wasn't just conducted on Wednesdays. And so the students are placed, for example, on Mondays, they're on the second floor. Tuesdays, they're on the first floor. So it kind of gives us a little more time to dedicate to the cleaning.
Thank you. Another question I think I can take, and this was define abatement again.
Okay.
When you said abatement, you're referring to the weapons abatement.
Yes,
What happens
weapons
if it's
abatement,
right?
yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that sounds a little ominous. That's sort of a DCPS security language, but that's what the students go through when they enter the building and go through the metal detector and put their bag through the conveyor belt. You know, kids have been doing that in DC for a long time. That's what we're referring to. That normal procedure of putting the bag through the the X-ray machine and going through the metal detector. Hope that helps with those two questions.
I think someone asked, are uniforms required?
I said no. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Uniforms are, we don't require that they wear school uniforms. In fact, that was a new thing that we were going to do this year anyway. Last spring, we had received a lot of feedback. Mr. Greenhow, you saw in the video, did forums with students and parents and staff, and got a lot of feedback from different folks. And we had decided this year that we weren't going to require school uniforms anyway. So now, if someone wants to wear the school uniform, they're more than welcome to. We know that some kids like to, and just gives a sense of normalcy, but it's not required. Yeah. There was a question regarding timeline for vaccines. I tried to answer it in the chat. My understanding is that for students, no, there's not. DCPS staff, we are getting ours this week. Miss Davis, have you got signed up yet?
I actually get mine tomorrow.
I get mine on Saturday. I think Mr. Greenhow gets his tonight. So,
Mhm.
yeah. But as far as students, there's no timeline yet, is there?
No, not for students, but again, we heavily encourage our students to sign the consent forms for the testing. So that way, we're preventing, I would say, we're giving our students the best prevention option that's provided for them right now, and that's through the asymptomatic testing, which is being conducted every 10 days.
So I think I answered Miss Coffey's question regarding pickup. We obviously we can be a little flexible, but please do try to pick up as close to 4 as possible. Yep. There was a question from Ms. Jones Cooper about bags. Do we have any additional string bags, like when we issued the laptops to the kids in the summertime? Do we have
I
any?
believe we do. I just have to check. I think I've ran out of all of the ones Miss Taibo may have had. Miss Taibo, if you're still on the line, do we still have any upstairs? If not, we do have the big Phelps, tote bags that we could issue to our students.
Okay. All righty. And thank you, Ms. Jones Cooper, for the explanation about the HEPA filters. You got Ms. Jones Cooper is our LSAT chairman, so she was able to go through the walkthrough last Friday and saw the filters in place. And I hope you had a chance to see that explanation that she put in the chat box, and that is that the one of those filters that you saw in the video covers about 1,000 square foot, which is about twice the size of a regular classroom. So each of the classrooms that's being used has one of those. Our big spaces, like our CTE labs, will have multiple devices in there, but we are also going to be receiving some large filters systems that can handle those big rooms. In the meantime, while we're waiting for those big devices to be delivered, we have multiple filters systems in the classrooms. A question from Miss Burris about, will senior math teachers be available on Fridays and Mondays? The teachers, content teachers, the best way to engage with them is virtually. The teachers who are covering the care classrooms on Mondays and Thursdays are not necessarily certain grade level or content folks. So best way to engage would be to continue to work with them virtually. Okay. Summer's mom says she has a question, but I don't see what the question was. Oh, there we go. Will temperatures be taken while coming through the door? That might be a helpful one to address, particularly in light of like the cold weather. Ms. Davis, how does that work?
So the students will be lined up outside, but the temperatures will be taken inside. We've definitely taken into consideration that the temperatures can be a little off due to the weather. So the students would enter the building and then have the temperatures taken. So no, the temperatures wouldn't be taken outside.
Ms. Gray's asking for some swag. We've got a few options available. We used to sell a lot back in the past. I don't know if we've replenished our stock this year, but we may have a few still available. You think, Ms. Davis?
We may. I know that Dr. Richardson also had an athletics fundraiser. I don't know if that's still posted on the school's website as well. But like you said, we'll try to get some things in order for our families to purchase some swag.
So question from Miss Lee says, who's going to be giving the tests for the students? I assume that means the COVID tests. If they sign the consent forms, yeah.
So if you are to sign the consent form, again, that wouldn't be a Phelps staff member. Those are trained staff from Department of Health. The same as if you were to go to a DC testing site, we would be receiving those same trained staff that will be reporting to the schools to do the COVID asymptomatic testing for the students.
Now,
again, that wouldn't be a Phelps staff member.
So Ms. Lee, I've never actually had a COVID test. So you're talking about the one that goes up the nose. Is that the kind that it's going to be, Ms. Davis, or is it more of the
No,
the swab
it would
one?
be the nasal swab. It would be the PCR nasal swab.
Okay. I think Summer's mom, I hope we answered that question about the temperature check. So
He did not show the testimony.
yeah, is that right? So I heard that you mentioned that it'll be taken as they enter the building. That's the temperature check. That's not the COVID testing.
No.
Clarify that just a little bit, make sure we're all on the same page.
Yes. So again, the students, as they enter the building, they would have their hand sanitizer. If they need a face covering, they would receive their face covering. And then a contracted health technician would then take their temperature inside of the building. That's different from the asymptomatic testing. Again, the asymptomatic testing, that's conducted on an every 10-day schedule, and that's scheduled through Department of Health. And that would be for all students who have a consent form or file with the nurse.
I don't know, Ms. Cooper, if Mr. Greenhouse showed the testing room. It's on the second floor, C wing is where it is. Yeah. Senior prom and graduation plans. Yeah, thank you, Ms. Burris, for, the hope is by then. Now, I will say Iman was very helpful with other senior class officers back earlier in the fall in helping choose a date. We do have our graduation date, and Iman knows that because she was in part of choosing that. So we have the date. The seniors, their thinking was back then that we would do it in our football stadium. That it's very large, it's long, people can spread out. Even if we have to maintain social distancing at that time, we still have ample space. So that was one of the ideas that the seniors were suggesting. So we are certainly hopeful that prom and those things are possible by the time we get to May and June. We hope so.
Sorry, I'm talking in my mute button. So, how about rain? Have y'all considered preparation if it rains, coverage or?
Yeah, I told the kids that because I had asked them. I said, "Do you want to have a nice venue? Do you want to go to a nice place?" And they said no. They wanted to prioritize their senior funds differently for something else. So so that's why they suggested doing it at the football stadium because it obviously limited costs involved in that. And I said, yeah, but it is June in DC, so a pretty good chance of a thunder shower. What do you think about that? And they have some ideas. have some ideas
Okay.
about that. So
Okay, so what is DCPS? Like Furby, are they contributing money, or are they going to give the kids a gift card? Because the state usually travel. They go on a class trip. They have the prom, and I don't foresee any of that. I don't know. I just don't know. At this point.
Ms. Bruce, I love to have a long-term view because we got to know where we're going so we can figure out how to get there. I'm going to ask for a little bit of forgiveness from you.
Oh,
I'm trying to get through Monday right now. We can get to February 1st in a good
I know,
place.
but before we know it,
Yep, it will
May,
be.
June is gonna be here, and that's why, then I don't know what, I know Iman worked, they worked really hard last year, and a group of
Yep.
them to raise a lot of money, and then we have some ideas now to continue to raise the money, but what are we raising it for? I mean, what can they do as a group? But I like to also talk to the other parents. Maybe, we can pull something together. So somebody has to initiate it. I just need numbers. Who's the go-to? Who's the best go-to person for that? Rogo, because I know she's
Sure.
hey,
Yep. She, our first sergeant.
Sarge is on the line, right? Sampleton.
Ms. Burgess, for you to talk about raising money and the prom and stuff, we are in the process of taking care of that. And we are letting the students step